I never thought a single sentence could tear apart everything I believed about my marriage. That evening, I stepped into the living room expecting the usual rhythm. Quiet chatter, the clinking of dishes, the hum of routine comfort. But instead, I was met with words that sliced through years of familiarity like a sharp blade. She looked straight at me, her face unreadable, and said, "I don't need intimacy with you anymore." The words hung heavy in the air, deliberate and sharp, as if she had crafted them to land precisely where they would hurt most. I didn't respond. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I simply stood there, letting the weight of her words settle, without giving them the satisfaction of a reaction. For a brief moment, the air felt colder, the shadows longer. My mind began replaying every small moment when I tried to bridge the growing distance between us. Her evasive glances, the shallow laughter that never reached her eyes, the sighs that filled the spaces where warmth used to live. I had seen the signs, but hearing her say aloud made everything undeniably real. The life we had built together, the plans we had made, suddenly felt fragile, almost imaginary. Instead of confronting her, I chose silence. I walked out, pretending I needed air. The night lights of the city offered me a strange kind of comfort I couldn't find inside that house. As I walked alone, I realized silence was an escape. It was a statement, not a surrender, but of acceptance. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt with apologies or explanations. That night, I didn't call or text. I left the space untouched, giving her the same freedom she had taken from our closeness. A week passed without contact, a strange, heavy quiet neither of us had ever known before. Every morning, I went through my routine as if nothing had changed, though deep down, something had shifted. The sting of her words had faded, replaced by a calm understanding. She had made her choice, now it was mine to make. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I simply recognized that her rejection wasn't a reflection of my worth, but of her own disconnection. On the seventh day, she reached out. Her message was cautious, hesitant. "Can we talk?" There was weight in those words, a quiet acknowledgement that something vital had shifted. But I didn't rush. I let the message sit, a silent reminder that actions speak louder than explanations. When I finally replied, I kept it simple. We need to be honest about what we want. I can't force connection where it doesn't exist. When we met later, I noticed a change in her. The nervous glances, the faltering speech, the awkward silences where laughter used to be. The intimacy we once shared had been replaced by fragile tension, a quiet understanding of the distance she had created. And through it all, I remained calm, observing, not reacting, listening, not pleading. My steadiness became the mirror reflecting her uncertainty, the consequence of careless words, and the quiet power of restraint over desperation. She tried to explain, her voice trembling as she reached for excuses to justify the walls she'd built. I listened, nodded, but my thoughts were elsewhere. I wasn't there to persuade or to beg her to stay. I was there to acknowledge what had already been lost, a bond she no longer wanted, and a man unwilling to trade dignity for temporary comfort. In that moment, I realized my silence had done what words never could. It had shifted the balance. The desperation she expected from me was gone, replaced by clarity, resolve, and quiet strength. She looked at me then, eyes filled with a mix of regret and disbelief. It wasn't a victory for me, just a reflection of reality, long ignored but now undeniable. When our conversation ended, nothing was resolved, yet everything was different. I walked away with the same calm I'd carried all week, fully aware that some lessons are only learned through distance, and some bridges crumble beyond repair. Her realization would come in time, but mine was already complete. As I returned to my life, I felt a peace I hadn't known in years. Silence had become my ally, distance my teacher, and dignity my reward. She would remember the week I walked away, not with anger, but with the truth that some things, once broken, can never be mended. And in that quiet, I found my freedom.